We have 5 members present right now, so we have a quorum. I'd like to jump in the first public hearing item, the fire department. If that's okay with everybody.
It is?
Overruled. So I'm going to do the budget first.
Yes, please.
So because we're in the negotiations, the budget really hasn't changed that much in the salaries and part of it. The only thing that's changed in the overtime and in the expense account is money that was put back in that was taken out for COVID. That money was put back in. That's the only changes.
For the coats?
Pardon me?
You say for the coats?
COVID.
Oh, COVID.
COVID, because there was COVID money.
Okay.
Reimbursement.
All right, we had received CARES Act money, so we essentially paid for quite a bit of the fire department's overtime with that CARES Act money. So we pulled it out now, obviously.
So basically, everything has stayed the same because they haven't, we're in negotiations now, so nothing's been settled, so.
What about under the uniform? Am I reading this right? We're going from 24,000 to 48,700. Line 54,600. The last one under expenses.
Uniforms. Oh, it's not one. Uniforms. So, what happened?
Attribute to the new.
It's the new, the new PPE. Every member has to have 2 pairs. So plus we have 4 new firefighters coming on, and I have to pay for their uniforms and their PPE.
All right, I knew you'd have an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
So there goes one sticky.
That's it. That's your sticky I have.
The budget you're presenting right now is the same dollar amount that you presented back in February 20th at the Board of Selectmen meeting, right? The total spend?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the fire department budget of 3.3 million? Okay. No, does he have more?
That's actually your operating budget this year.
Yes. And we, just to let you guys know, we did put in the safer grant for firefighters because it's free. There's no match with it. So that's right here. So hopefully we'll get 4 men, and obviously this budget will have to change in July.
So the 4 that you mentioned earlier, is that
Those are
including these or
replacements.
is that extra?
Those are replacements.
Those are replacements. Okay,
Yes.
so if
The
we get the
4
safer grant, you'll have 8 of that.
The 4 safer grant employees will be new. The 4 employees that we're putting on right now are just replacements from retirement and stuff like that.
So those are the 4 new employees that you described at the February 20 meeting also, and that's still progressing towards completion, right, at some point?
Correct.
Okay.
They start in April.
Anybody have any questions on the fire department budget? Motion to recommend the fire department budget as presented of
No move.
$333,463. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Fire is recommended at the amount presented. Thank you.
Did you want to do the capital?
Yes. Yes, please.
First, the bricks. Do the station alerting first, yeah.
That information should be in your packet. The double-sided. In that packet.
I'm gonna take it a book.
No, I see.
We're proposing $87,639.38 for the station alerting system. That's for both stations. The station, the headquarters at 28 Blackstone Street, as well as the South Station on Renton Street.
Did you know a couple years ago, we had talked about putting in a Zetron system, which was a lot more money. Since then, the deputy has looked into the brick system, and we feel that not only is it a lot cheaper, but it's also it's better for what we need.
Did we have a capital committee vote on the Zetron last year? No, so we're gonna have to have a capital room.
Yeah, there was no vote that was taken on the system.
I know we're not on the bricks, but I didn't know if we were taking it on.
No, but we will have a capital for that.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions on the fire alerting system for $88,000? You have a second item under 50?
Yes,
The brush truck?
we do. So we have a replacement for current brush 3, at $49,904.88.
What we're doing is we're just taking the old brush 3, which has a skid on it with water, hose and all our equipment we need to put out the brush fire. We're removing that skid unit from the pickup, and we're putting it on this new pickup that has a more capability of higher GVW.
It's a higher GVW.
to enable to sustain the weight of the water.
What's the GVW on the 350?
On the new one,
Yeah. For the,
That might even be in your package.
yeah, I know. Well, I saw it on the computer. And I was looking at the packets. Okay. I have a question for Mary. Mary, should the radio be included as a part and parcel of this, or we don't do it separate? Because it is a complete, fire truck unit, including a radio.
I would include it.
Huh?
We can include it. One whole package. They wouldn't be buying it without the.
Okay, so we're gonna need a capital meeting on that one too.
No,
the combined, that's with everything.
that's with everything, Joe.
That's 49,000 with everything.
With everything, yeah, it's a base model, we're not going with anything. Just basic 350s, Super Duty.
Yeah, doesn't give a GVW. That'll be around 8,400 pounds.
96.
96, okay.
Yeah.
What's the care on it? What's the, you have the number on what it is? There's nothing on it?
Well, they divide it into front, rear.
The only reason I'm asking for it is what, a 250 gallon tank you got?
It is
Yeah, water weighs what, 10 pounds or
8
11
pounds a gallon.
8 pounds? Okay, so there's still plenty of,
Yes,
We were thinking about going to a 550, but we determined that the GVWs in this vehicle
there's enough.
is enough.
Yeah.
And the 550 that's you're talking about.
it almost doubles the price of
Yeah.
it.
Okay, well, that's why I was asking what the fair weight on it is, because if you get 4,000 pounds, you get adequate capacity. for
Right, yeah,
stopping power
Yeah.
and, yeah, and that's one of the reasons that the problem that you have with using a pickup truck is it's versatile and usable, but it does put a lot of wear and tear on it. The water is, if you go to a 550, it's much better as far as how the water goes on it, but it does increase the price. You can replace it, twice over.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna pay $100,000 for it. Right. That's used 6 months out.
Right.
Mary, what's the funding source for the brush truck? Is it borrowing?
Nope, it's listed as free cash.
It says borrowing up above it. Should I cross out?
So
Borrow.
your sheet should look like this, John. It came out in the packet on Friday.
It says borrowing grand total. Oh, that's two separate words?
Oh, yeah. Look at the first column, this one over here.
All right.
Did you guys say you're replacing the 350 not with the 550?
No, with the 350 as well.
Okay, because
It's just a beefier truck.
the article, as signed on this says replacing 350 with 550.
That would be a typo.
Okay.
So just check it.
Yeah, it'll be 350 for
No
350.
wheels on the back or single?
Single wheel. When you're in the woods, the single wheels,
So what's the tire ply, 8 or
on that one, I think it's a 12 ply tire,
12? Okay.
which puts it to the, it's SFW. It's the next grade up
Okay,
from the base model.
all right, so the tire will survive.
Yes. Yeah, they know the load that we're putting on it.
Any other questions on the fire department brush truck under 50 capital? You have only 2 items tonight, right? There's a motion to recommend the fire alerting system, $88,000 from free cash, and the brush truck, $49,905 from free cash.
I've got one question.
So
on the rate.
moved.
Yes.
Okay, $900 and something for a computer mount.
It's
When did those go up like that?
For a what?
for which are we talking
For your computer mounting system?
in the station alerting.
No, in the
There's
in the
no,
fire truck.
No,
there's
this is
no
the
computer
regular
amount in
There's
the
no
brush truck.
Yeah.
It is just the cost for the installation of the radio and the new radio installation.
Somewhere that had to have is 2-in-1.
That was in the station alerting. We're also doing
Oh,
but that
okay,
goes
so
with the
that-
command
that-
vehicle
That's
alerting
for
part.
the,
Yeah, for the command vehicle.
All right, is there a second?
second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Both items are recommended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police, please.
Set?
Is it the same dollar amount that you presented February 20th, 3,460,000?
Same. 460, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No changes since. Pretty basic, straightforward out of the 20 years I've been doing budgets. Excuse me. You see an increase based on basically a 1% adjustment that we made during the fiscal year last year. We're in the middle of contract negotiations. We're in the middle as the chief, same dilemma of filling positions. We've got 4 positions right now we're actively working on, so the 5th one we'll be getting on to. But it's pretty straightforward. There's some minor adjustments based on a secretary going up a step, 2 dispatchers going up a step. Basically, there's not much. The expense side, there's some increase in supplies.
Building maintenance costs go up a little bit. We never used to budget the building maintenance, but we're taking on more and more every year as we go along. And I really don't have much more than that to account for the 69,000 so that went up. It's just minor adjustments based on contractual obligations, and we'll find out more once the contracts are settled. Any questions? Not from me.
If there are changes to the contract, will we need to adjust the budget prior to the meeting?
That comes
Well,
to the, that's done at the fall meeting, is that right?
Well, if we actually get these contracts settled over the next couple of weeks, we'll be coming back to you with those changes. So it is possible that we, if we could, we would, because it makes things a lot simpler
Okay.
than getting into retroactive payments
But
and that sort of thing.
The last time we did that, it was not a big dollar amount.
No, I think right now, if we get everything settled, we're asking for 69,000. I think I figured it out to be about 61,000 for both.
61, yeah, so it's
Clerical, dispatches, everybody. So
considered, compared to the total budget, it's not a significant number. Okay.
Good.
Anybody else have any comments or questions on the police amount? Is there a recommendation? Is there a motion to recommend the
Second,
fire budget at $3.460 million? Second,
second.
comments, questions? All those in favor? Aye.
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 The police department budget is recommended as presented.
thank you. I do have one item on the capital. The 2-year payment for our upgrade of, excuse me, repeater receiver system that will be putting on under 50,000. I don't know if you've got that paperwork in front of you.
It's the 40,392.
That's the one.
Good, free cash.
It was, I'm sorry, you said,
No, it's good.
but it was presented to all of the committees last year as a 2-year program. And last, we funded obviously the first part of FY21. This is the second part of the funding.
This is
for the
year 2?
program.
Okay.
Yep, this would be year 2. So the program essentially was approved last year. Because it's on the schedule, I want you guys to see it, but you essentially voted on the program itself last year.
Anybody have any questions on this item?
Will that item have to go through capital again?
What?
Will that item, whereas it's an under 50 capital item, you still need to go to capital, right?
I think we voted, capital voted.
Okay.
So it's, Joyce, to answer your question, essentially because, so they wouldn't need to because they voted on it last year, but essentially this piece, the second year is under 50, so it wouldn't even need to go to them anyway.
No.
Is there a motion to recommend the police department repeater receiver for $40,392 funded from free cash?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
The item is recommended. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we got. Thank you.
Mary, you want to go through some of the, were you planning on going through some of the over and under 50 capital items tonight?
Do you want to go through some of those?
Yeah, really briefly, do you want to do the tabulator for $5,000?
Mhm.
Give us like a 1 minute on that, half a minute?
Yep, so Larry had said before the Board of Selectmen, I can't remember which night, presenting the need for an additional tabulator. And his estimate was about $5,000 to secure that.
Anybody have any comments, questions? Motion to recommend the tabulator, $5,000 from free cash.
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing that. What does the tabulator do?
Vote counter, it's where we insert
Oh.
our, I'm sorry, it's a ballot counter for election purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Is it a new one to replace the ones we have, or are those rent, how does that even work?
Maybe it's a replacement. So he's looking
Yeah, but I believe he's gonna keep the other one for parts. And so, you know, oftentimes you want to make sure that you've got to be able to repair these things quickly. So you would save the other one for parts.
Okay.
For a second. Comments, questions? All those in favor of recommending the tabulator? $5,000 free cash? Aye.
Aye.
The tabulator is recommended. $5,000 free cash. I guess that's animal control, truck replacement.
We have a shared service with Franklin, so that is half a truck. Franklin will be paying the other half of that vehicle. I know some information was submitted on that, but that'll be the replacement for one of their vehicles.
Included in the capital.
Okay, so that 20,000 was the quote from Liberty Chevrolet.
It's a $40,000 vehicle. The $20,000 represents our share.
Okay, because the quote here, unless this is for the Parks Department, there's a Liberty Chevrolet quote. It's $36,987.
I rounded up, Joe.
Okay. Very generous with my money.
Anybody have any comments or questions on this item, truck replacement for animal control?
Just random question, who holds it where we split it with Franklin? Who holds the liability and the insurance and all of that?
We have an arrangement with them. Essentially, we insure the vehicles. Some of those costs are covered in the budget. They have the actual kennel located in Franklin. They maintain the kennel, pay all the costs associated with the kennel. So it's a program that's been in place for about 25 years. We take care of some of the insuring of the vehicles, and they take care of the insuring of the facility and the liability insurance on it.
And at the end of the day, everybody's comfortable. It's close to 50-50.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's been a great relationship.
Any other comments or questions? Motion to recommend the truck replacement for animal control in an amount not to exceed $20,000.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The item is recommended. Treasury, what does that mean? SW mods?
Software.
Okay.
So I'll go over that one. So we are asking with the new treasure collector in place, Sandra and I have been working on some new programs. And what we're looking to accomplish is to introduce some additional software functionality to improve efficiencies in the office. In this particular program, what we're trying to do is have our demand forms modified so that we can have those processed through Lockbox. Right now, what happens is when we issue demands, because they don't have a scan line on them, we have to process all of those payments manually. This would free up, we issue over 3,000 motor excise demands after the first commitment. We issue about over 500 real estate demands. So being able to outsource those functions will improve productivity and efficiency in that office. So we're looking at not only outsourcing things like our demands and integrating a little bit more software functionality to accomplish that. What we're also trying to do is outsource the printing of our bills. Right now, we print all of our water, sewer, trash bills in-house. It requires a great deal of time and labor to do that. And what we're trying to do is work with a vendor to establish some fulfillment services so that we send them a data file. They produce the bills, they mail it, they get the bulk postage discount. So this is to start us on that program of introducing some software modifications and gaining efficiencies in the treasury collection function.
I don't know what a demand is.
Okay, so when we issue a bill and people don't pay and they become delinquent, we then issue a demand bill and we add an additional fee, a $5 fee onto it, and send those out. And if they don't pay those, then we take more advanced collection
So this is year 1 of 2, so this is a $15,000 item. Is that right?
So year 2, the full pricing has not been finalized yet because we're working with additional vendors on the fulfillment piece to try to get that cost down. But this is to start the demand process and then the integration of the online banking that would go with it.
Anybody have any comments?
So with
Is this,
Adam?
is the 7,500 specific to the software and then the additional outsourcing is what you're referring to for next year? Or are there additional down the road costs that would potentially go along with the project?
So what we're looking at is this 7,500 is for the current software modifications that we have gotten pricing on. What we're hoping is that by fall town meeting, we will have the price quotes for the second part of the process, and it will be all inclusive.
But you expect that this is about half?
I would expect that this is a little bit more than half, that the second part of the program is actually going to be less than the 7,500.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Motion to recommend the $7,500 for the from free cash. Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The item is recommended. Let's just go right down to the next item. Additional funding for North Main Street generator.
So I'm actually, if I can ask you guys to hold off on this one. Dawn and I
Okay,
are still going
fine.
back and forth on funding.
Can we go to the Council on Aging HVAC upgrade, $99,000 free cash?
We are still waiting for a hard number on their HVAC system. They've got a problem that they've been experiencing the last few years. At one point in time, we continue to look at a renovation of the whole building. But right now, we think we need to do something with that facility. We've got a couple of local firms in there trying to diagnose it so that we can come up with a solid estimate and put it out to bid. So we don't have a hard number, but that's the estimate at this point in time.
Is this the one that last fall we were concerned about the heating systems broken too?
That was the library, and if I could
Okay,
just go on that, if you remember, we had a company that was the preferred vendor for a particular program, and as long as the project was under $99,000, we could award it to them without bidding. Well, we did get some more quotes, and we ended up going out to bid, and we actually awarded a contract for $68,000 for that, so it worked out quite well that we went out to bid for that project. So it's a similar situation, only it's the council on Aging.
Okay, sorry, they just,
Yeah, we would go out to bid on that.
So Dennis, on that, so we have a placeholder in here for
Right.
the 99. Do we think that we're, before the FinCom finishes their process in mid-April, that we should hold off on this until we can refine that number a little bit more?
Right, I think we'll have something for you in April, but we don't have a hard number at this point.
So I would hold off on this right now until we can gather some more information in terms of.
So do you want to hold off or recommend it in
I
an
would
amount
hold
not
off
to
because we
exceed?
do have a firm working with our building commissioner to visit, assess, and come up with that.
So we would have it before the town meeting?
We should have a good estimate by mid-April for it.
Before the town meeting?
Before the
Okay,
town
yeah,
meeting.
so all right, we'll hold off.
and will it go out to bid or no?
It will go out to bid.
Okay,
Everything?
cost saving block.
Just for item 7, Mary, did you have comments on other budget accounts that you wanted to?
Yeah, so I'll go through the changes. I did send out some replacement sheets to you guys. So the first one is the assessors. Do you guys have one? That you focus? Okay. And so I put a star next to the line that had changed since the last time you guys looked at it in your budget book. What we have included in here is some additional funding for a part-time position in the finance department. It would be sort of what you could call a floater position. Their home base would be in the assessor's office, and a big part of this is due in part to succession planning. So we know that our assessor is scheduled to retire in about 2 years, and we need to focus on making sure that we've got the staff in place to absorb that kind of a transition. And so what we're looking at doing is bringing somebody on in a part-time capacity to start backfilling some of the work in the assessor's office. And a lot of the work in the assessor's office is cyclical or seasonal. And so they would be stationed there during those busy periods, and then during periods of the year where the volume is a little lighter, they would be able to move over to the Treasury office or into my office in order to be able to backfill for some of the projects that we need to get done. So this is an increase since the last time we looked at the budget, an increase of $15,000 for a part-time position.
Is that, so the new number is 206, 254. Is that included on the revised sheets that we have?
The new number is 221, 254. And if you look at the last column of the
Oh,
sheet, I sent
all right,
out,
all right. 221, 254.
Okay. Can we move on to the next one? You guys on TV okay with that?
I'll see it on the sheet.
I'm sorry. Which sheet? On the checklist sheet, John? On the front page, this sheet right here, I actually highlighted it in gray so that you can see the ones that were changed.
Okay. All right, next item.
So the next set of replacement sheets that I sent out were actually for debt service. And I'm just going to describe it, but I'm actually going to ask you to not vote debt service tonight. Now explain why. So at the when the budget books were originally prepared, we had included a placeholder for some work relative to the DPW building. And through as we began to learn more, it became apparent that we were not going to be able to move forward with that proposal in that particular project. So I have removed that placeholder from the debt service budget that was associated with the DPW building, and as a result, the debt service budget had a reduction. And what we did with that reduction is we preserved some of the reduction here in the debt service budget, and then in the next one that we're going to look at, we increased the highway contracted services line with some of the reduction in the debt service. The reason I'm asking you to hold off on voting this time is I have a conference call tomorrow with our financial advisor. There's one more thing that I would like to look at with them in our debt model, which is to see if we can't refund some of our older pieces of debt that are callable and potentially refinance those at a lower interest rate. So I'm hoping that the cost savings will outweigh the cost of doing that, and I may be able to present you with a debt service budget that might be slightly lower than what you're looking at. So I'm going to ask you to hold off on that until your next meeting. I'll have the final information out to you.
Okay, next item.
So the next item is highway, Department 422. And so the change here in highway was what I just alluded to. The line that I have an asterisk next to is to increase the contracted services for road repairs and maintenance by $100,000.
Okay,
And then the last one is the sewer operating budget. And so what happened between the time of your last meeting and this meeting is that Don did finally get the final numbers from Charles River. And typically when he puts his budget together in December, he uses an estimate for what he thinks those costs are going to reflect. And between the time of these two meetings, he got the actual costs, which he typically gets in March, and those actual costs reflected an increase in the cost of treating our wastewater through Charles River, and that cost increase has been reflected here.
But the numbers didn't change in the last 3 columns.
So when Don entered his, you're absolutely right. When Don entered his budget, he actually has to go back to the department request line. So in order to see the change, you have to go to your budget book and look at the last set of sheets.
So you're saying you went from 171,000 to 199,000. That's the change.
Pull it up. Give me one. Bear with me for 1 second. You probably got there faster than me. It went from, let's see, the first one, O&M, went from 175,655 to 199,710. The station O&M went from 13,650 to 16,360. And the upgrade and compliance went from 197,497 up to 223,540.
Yeah, we don't have those numbers.
They're on, in your budget book under tab 48. It was
It's not on the pages.
not
All
on
right.
this page, no.
So what is CRPCD?
Charles River Pollution Control District.
Okay. So the total increase of those items is about $100,000.
52,808. His total budget went from 1,538,289 to 1,591,097. It was an increase of 52,808.
Okay, so I have to go back to this book, not these pages. All
Correct.
right, all right. The last item, the DVT.
And so with BDT, that did not change. Somebody had asked if the number that was in the budget book reflected the final assessment. So I just gave you a copy of the sheet that we received that confirmed that the final assessment.
So what's in the book is.
It's already in the book, and that number has not changed. It was just a supporting schedule.
John, I'm the reason for that extra piece of paper. I said, John, I'm the reason for that extra piece of paper I asked for.
There you go.
So if everybody agrees, what I'd like to do is go through some of the individual line items. And we will vote on recommending the individual line items for town meeting. Is that okay with everybody online? Adam, Kevin, who else is online?
Jennifer.
Jennifer? Okay.
Sure.
So if you have the pages that was distributed today, go to the second page. We'll start right there. The first one at the top of the page is just administration, 203,822. And I would propose we do something similar to past years. We'll do 5 at a time. So is there a motion to recommend administration of 203,822? Animal control, 147,087. Arts, 7,500. Assessor, 221,254. And auxiliary police, 5,000, all funded from taxation, Mary?
Taxation and other available sources, yeah.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The items are recommended. Building maintenance, 358,918. Cemetery, 9,001. Town clerk, 141,807. Council on Aging, 228,254. Conservation, 55,896. And count 151, council, $100,000.
Sean, that conservation was 65,000. You had said 55,000. Just to be clear.
Conservation,
65,896.
65,896. The ink went is bad on that part.
Didn't want to take about 10 grand.
Is there a motion to recommend these items?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
comments? All those in favor, aye?
Can we discuss the town clerk?
Okay,
I'm just curious, Mary and I talked about this already, but I just want to get others' opinions. I know that Larry's only been here for about a year, maybe a little more. So I'm just curious about the salary increase being pretty high in a financial environment where most people are not getting increases.
I can tell you what he presented to the Board of Selectmen, Adam, when he appeared the meeting following the public hearing. Essentially, what the discussion was bringing him up to where he would be had that position been funded. The first year that he came in, it was cut back. So I think that's what he had presented at that point in time. So the first year was a cut from where the current salary was, and was brought it up to that level. And the board had voted to support that at that point in time.
So is that a stepped position as well?
No, that's an elected position.
So he was not making the same amount that Ann was.
Correct. It was cut back when he was elected.
When you say the first year he was here,
He's been here 2 years. I think he's finishing up his second year.
so the agreement was to start him at that and there would be a subsequent increase after the first year?
Well, there wasn't an agreement. It was the budget was passed and presented. The selectmen had cut the budget back or recommended a lesser number and presented that lesser number to town meeting. So it was under contract. He's elected, so every 3 years that position's up for re-election.
What was the salary that Ian was getting paid when he got elected?
I'm not going to tell you 100%, Adam, but I believe it was in the order of $63,000. Does that make sense?
I think it was, about 64. in that
64.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sizable increase.
So his first year, he got 65?
Yeah.
Is that, or
Yes.
pro rata 65?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand it. I know Ian's been doing this a long time. Is there any sort of guidance as far as, how long they've been doing the job or anything like that?
Not so much for an elected position, you wouldn't have it. It's a unique position. It's the only elected salary position that we have in town. So it's the only one. We don't really have.
I think if you did a comparison with the area towns that, representatives of our size and our scope, you would find that we're probably a little bit on the lower side for town clerk.
Yeah.
So how does,
Yeah, so that's essentially what I was asking. Thank you, Joe.
my question on this would be, how is this as an elected position? How is performance evaluation / typical cost of living increases happening though? Does he just request them or
He
how?
requests them, he presents it to the Board of Selectmen, and then obviously it comes to the Finance Committee, and then we'll go to town meeting. And every 3 years, he has the ultimate review.
Yeah.
It
From a
doesn't
personal
follow.
standpoint, I can say that I've done business with them on several occasions in the last 2 years. And I find them to be quite efficient and responsive to questions and matters and the like. You know, I mean, he's done a yeoman's job at the position. And I would support the increase.
And he's the only position that's elected in
That's
this town,
correct.
right? So it's a very unique situation.
Correct, you wouldn't have the other benefits that might go along with salaried employees, department heads, et cetera.
What, can we go back a second? Does that mean he doesn't get health insurance through the town?
He does in fact get health insurance. Elected
And
officials that are
vacation?
full-time get, nope, there's no set vacation, there's no set sick time or anything like that, but obviously he's elected, he has a salary. Yeah, a lot of it is personal responsibility on something like that for an elected position. Because theoretically, you could come in, be elected, and not come to work, and you're gonna get paid until somebody recalls you and has you removed from office. It's just,
What are the other benefits though that you said that he wasn't eligible for?
well, other professionals might have longevity or certain other benefits that are out there. He has the pension if he gets 10 years to be vested.
But he's in the
it's
same-
basically
he's
not a
in-
contract, it's just a staff.
He's in the same pension fund as all employees.
Correct. Yep.
And he gets health insurance.
Does get health insurance.
And if he works 15 hours on election day, he does not get overtime.
That's correct.
He does not get overtime.
That's
He's a true salary employee.
that was the selectmen, as I say, supported the.
But Adam, the same thing a few years ago, the reduction in pay was also a discussion item at various levels. So we're just having the same reverse discussion at this point in time. When the person prior to him retired and the salary was reduced when he took the position. Any other comments, questions on this item?
Can you just explain that comment a little more? So he was the town clerk before her?
No, the person who was the town clerk retired and he ran for the position, won, and at that point in time, the salary was reduced. So there was a discussion about why the salary was reduced, and it's basically the same discussion we're having now, but in reverse. Like
I mean, you would expect a salary to be reduced for somebody with no experience in the job, right?
some people do, some people don't.
He did have experience in as much as he worked in the office on a
Yeah.
part-time basis.
Yeah.
And when one of the ladies became ill, I mean, he filled in for her, so he had experience on what the job entailed. And he took a reduction. Basically, this is gonna be the second year or third year of his
Going into his third.
year. And he's gone from a position that was being paid at $70,000 in 2019 to $74,000 this year, if it gets approved. So basically, he's got a $4,000 raise over a 3-year period. And he was, you might want to say, short shifted for years 1 and 2, because the position when he was elected paid $70,000, which was reduced. And it's taken him 3 years to get to the point where he's averaging maybe a 1.5% increase over a period of 3 years. Year to year to year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I just don't agree with being shortchanged in the first place. He brought on a position, started at a level that was lower than the person who had years of experience on it. And, you know, I certainly wouldn't have concerns over a standard increase that others are getting. But if we're all trying to level fund, I just don't think it makes sense. But that's just my opinion there.
Okay, any other comments or questions on these line items.
My question would be, is Adam want that one pulled out and voted separately? Would be my only question.
It's not gonna change though. I mean, it.
Yeah.
But I don't think at this point in time, we're gonna change anything.
Okay.
There's a
What does that
motion.
mean?
Yep.
What does that mean when you say that?
Well, at this point, what's our alternative? Not to recommend the, to pay the town clerk?
Quite frankly, if you look at it as an elected official, when people get elected to the Senate, they don't get their salary reduced. They get the going salary on their first day on the job, whether they've been 100 years or 5 years or no years. They get the same amount of money. And when he ran for this office, quite frankly, as a taxpayer, I was under the impression that he was going to continue at that salary rate. And then after negotiations with everybody, with talking to the Board of Selectmen, he took a pay cut on something that he expected to make about $70,000 a year. He went down to what? 65. They took a $5,000 pay cut, took a haircut on that. So now he was still below what the original rate was 2 years before. And now we're finally being brought up with 2 years plus experience. He's being brought up to the commensurate rate that he would have got if he had been elected for 5 years. 3 years, even though he can do the work and he's doing the work. Nothing has changed as far as what he has to know and what he was doing and what she was doing 3 years ago. I mean, I think it's only fair.
My question was directed to John, and it was to his comment regarding the procedure of voting on this line. Okay, I don't hardly know, Larry. This isn't a personal discussion. When you say, what else are we going to do? I mean, I was under the impression that I was appointed to this board to ask these questions. If the fact that us just putting something to vote is just to, cross the i's and dot the t's and check the box and move on, then that's fine.
I'm not implying that, but this isn't something that just came up tonight. This has been in process since he took the position a couple of years ago. And he did come before the Finance Committee, and I'm assuming the Board of Selectmen at the time, and he made his case, and he did express that he was surprised about the reduction in pay. I recall that meeting, and he did come in front of the Finance Committee and made the same comments. And we didn't increase his pay at that time to bring him back to where the pay was for the individual who retired. So, this has been playing out over a couple of years. And I think what Joe is saying is we expected to get to this where we are now at some point in time, whether it was last year, this year, or next year, but we're not surprised we're at this time. Is that a fair comment?
That's a fair comment.
So it didn't play out over the last couple of weeks. It's
ultimately,
been playing out since the position was, since the prior individual retired and this person was elected to that position. So
I was going to say, ultimately, if someone's not comfortable with it, they have the right to vote against it and just not recommend it.
Right, and what Dennis just said is exactly right. I mean, I appreciate you guys giving me the history there, and that's definitely helpful. But to insinuate that my comments or vote don't have a right to change what the budget's going to look at, I mean, as a new member, that's a little frustrating to take.
I was not insinuating that, but it's.
You said it's not going to change. So if more people voted against it than voted for it, it would change.
No, when I said it wasn't going to change, the dollar amount's not going to change. We can vote to not recommend it, but it's hard for me, as this has played out over the past 3 years, in the context of the $60 million budget, to say no to this item.
I think I could add a little clarification to that. We can vote no, but the budget is not made up by the Finance Committee. The budget is made up and approved by Dennis and the Board of Selectmen. So we can go ahead and vote no on the recommendation of $74,000, But the townspeople still get to vote on the $74,000 unless somebody files an amendment to the question. Does that help clarify it?
I think, and I'm sorry if I don't, the woman sitting next to you, is that Joyce? Yeah, no, I think that was a good suggestion. If we could just vote that line separately from the other four, then we can move on.
Okay.
Okay, so how do I do that?
We'll vote the
Vote the
town
other
clerk
ones first.
separate.
So you were making a motion for the 6.
So I'm going to amend my request for a motion to recommend the line items and exclude the town clerk. So for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining items, excluding account 161 town clerk, is there a motion to recommend?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor? All those opposed? I'm sorry. The 5 items are recommended.
Cool.
So is there a motion to recommend account 161 town clerk in the amount of $141,607?
So move.
Second,
Second.
comments?
Yes, I think we should mention in terms of history that since he came on, we've introduced the tablet voting and a lot of electronics into the voting process at town meetings. So,
Tina, can you make sure that's reflected in the minutes?
Yeah.
Is that good, Kevin?
yeah,
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor of recommending clerk line item 161, aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
We have 6 or 5 people today.
Is
I think we have 6.
Kevin and Adam are on screen and the three of us.
Is Jennifer vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's 5-1.
So account 161 is recommended by 1.
I appreciate your question, Adam.
Yeah.
It was a good discussion to have if you were hesitant about it.
No, I appreciate that, and there's certainly a lot more experience than I have here. And, those are things that I'm going to have to learn how these discussions took place in the past.
We're going to skip over debt service and start with disability, $20,501. Elections, $47,100. Electrical, $27,500. Finance, $343,367. Finance Committee, $5,395.
I have a question on elections. Is that the police detail or is that others? And I think that's come up before.
It's the people who work the election.
Exactly.
And the registrars who have to come in prior to the elections to
But
decide.
are you asking in general in that budget?
Yeah, what
So
falls in
embedded
there?
in there is funding for police details. It would be in the expense line.
Okay,
There is some in there.
Does it all.
And account 426, gas of $168,006. Are there any comments or questions?
sorry, I jumped ahead with my phone.
Is there a motion to recommend?
We're doing 7 now?
so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Recommended, 6-0.
It was 6-1, Joe.
Yeah, because we already did the 5.
Yep, and held. That's
Okay, account 510, that's Board of Health, right? 146,337. Historical,
Looks like that's some help.
6,000.
You'd like to have some help? That's good. Health insurance.
I'm bypassing that.
You like that?
Account 422, highway, highway, 1,178,000. I can't read the last three. 867,
For 667.
667.
You want my sheets, John?
Inspector, $201,033. Insurance, $668,022. Library, $563,564. And I'll stop there. Are there any comments, questions, discussion points on these items? Anyone? Motion to recommend?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 These items are recommended 6-0. So before we go through the next ones, 154, which is technology. Dennis, is there anything that the town needs for like ransomware or security or anything like that that is desirable or needed?
There's no unmet need in.
No
regard to
unmet
that,
need.
that category, I think.
Do you
Mary's
mind if
good.
so I immediately talked to Karen the next day. What I wanted to share with you is that Karen has recently participated in a state grant program through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She is comfortable that we don't need anything at this time. However, she has just recently enrolled us in a grant program to test our cybersecurity. And we will be, as part of that program, we will determine any risk factors. She's not anticipating any negative results. And this is a good test, a stress test, if you will, for cybersecurity. Should anything come out of that, then we will come back to you and let you guys know that she's feeling comfortable that we have what we need.
Okay.
That's great.
Account 900 OPEB, can you comment on what that is? $50,000?
Are you asking me? I'm sorry. So that is an appropriation to our OPEB trust fund that is currently managed by the state under the State Retirement Benefits Trust Fund. That is for other employment benefits, so health insurance for retired employees.
So is there a motion to recommend lights, $155,000, Medicare, $524,000, Memorial, $15,000, Management Information Systems, $511,862. I don't know, what's
Moderator.
town moderator, $350. Account 197, occupation,
Occupational health,
Occupational health, 39,700. Account 190, $20,000. OPEB, $50,000. Parks, 139,650. Account 152 personnel, 121,053. What is that?
Human
That's-
resources.
yep.
Good job. Account 172 planning, 253 plumbing, 29,521. Comments? 129,864.
I have a question about 197, occupational health. Is that? I can't quite picture that. Is that injury prevention?
It's a contracted nurse that we have. We've had historically, she comes in on Thursdays, meets with individuals that have been out on injured leave. Also as a resource for anyone that has any health concerns or health issues, any employees. So that's a position that we've had for quite some time, but essentially it's a nurse that provides assistance to department heads and employees with injuries and does participate in our injury prevention working group as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Any questions on any other accounts? Motion to recommend the accounts.
So moved.
So move.
Second,
Second.
final comments? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? The accounts are recommended 6-0. Account 196, $3,000 reports. 132, reserve, $50,000. Retirement, $3,286,833. Revaluation, $30,910. Board of Selectmen, $116,769. Snow, $260,000. Tax title, $55,000. I'll stop there. So the reserve account for 50,000 is for,
That's the finance committee reserve. That's the finance committee reserve fund. So if we have an extraordinary or unforeseen emergencies and we need to come to you and request a reserve fund transfer, that's your reserve fund. You're looking at
revaluation
what
is,
stress- Does that ring a bell?
Yes,
Okay.
it's relatively new, right?
No, it's always been there.
Okay.
revaluation is real estate.
That is through the assessor's office. That is for all of the work that we have to go through to set the values prior to setting the tax rate each year. And it also includes some additional requirements that the state is mandating on us for some of our utility companies and the solar companies.
Anybody have any questions? These 7 accounts. Comments? No. All those in favor of recommending, aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? These accounts are 6-0, recommend. We're going to skip school and transportation, which is bus. And start with account 145, treasure. Your treasurer. $332,366. Tree warden, $30,200. Trust fund transfer, $275,000. Blackstone Valley Tech, $1,014,129,000. Veterans, $121,300, and zoning, $8,600. Anybody have any questions on these 6 items?
What trust fund are we talking about here, Mary?
So there's a few of them, and tab 60 in your book, 60. If you remember that this is that, we have an anomaly this year in our pension assessment, that the pension assessment went down for 1 year only due to their actuarial study. And so what we're doing is utilizing that savings from this 1 year pension assessment to replenish our reserves. And so there's a schedule in tab 60 that shows you that we're proposing to put 50,000 into the municipal insurance trust, which is the property liability insurance, 25,000 into workers' comp, and 100,000 into the capital improvements or the capital projects trust fund. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, 100, and then 100,000 into compensated absences. So 100,000 to absences, 100,000 to capital, 25 to workers' comp, and 50 to insurance, for a total of 275.
Anyone else have
Good.
comments?
Good.
Motion to recommend the 6 accounts.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The 6 accounts are recommended 6-0.
You want to do the enterprise today, do you want to wait on that?
Mary, any chance the enterprise funds could change?
Not that I'm aware of. The only change was the sewer that we just got last week.
Right, trash, I don't think there's any expectation that trash or water or
stormwater,
stormwater are
no.
going to be changing, so.
Nope, so I think you're good.
Any comments or questions on the trash enterprise fund of $1,798,808,000? Motion to recommend.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Recommended 6-0. Water enterprise fund, $3,591,233. Does anybody have comments or questions on the water enterprise?
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Motion to recommend.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Water enterprise is recommended 6-0. The sewer enterprise, $1,591,097. Are there any comments or questions? Motion to recommend sewer enterprise.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 It's recommended 6-0. And the stormwater enterprise, $821,972. Are there any comments, questions?
Not at this time. Somebody's gonna ask a question?
Motion to recommend.
I actually, I'm gonna call a question. Why is there 2 for salaries and 2 for expenses?
Oh, okay. So this used to be funded in the general fund. If you look at those 4 line items and look at the first 4 digits.
Yep.
0400 represents the enterprise fund, and 1000 represents the general fund. So in FY 2019 and 2020, it was budgeted in the general fund.
Okay.
And going forward, it's budgeted in the enterprise fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
At a certain point, will we stop seeing how it was previously?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
2 more years.
2 more years. That's it. I'll mark this year's book so I remember.
I'll try to make a note so I remove that for you next year. It just comes out automatically, but I'll try to remember.
Motion to recommend stormwater at $821,972.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Stormwater is recommended 6-0. So we still have open school transportation, debt service, health insurance.
That's the list I have. Yeah.
That's the 4.
Okay.
You agree? Yep.
Some of these articles, like we scheduled everybody to come in and those.
I know there's some confusion on school. Was that straightened out?
In terms of the date?
Yes.
They are scheduled to come on April 12th.
Okay,
Your previous meeting stands.
okay. Thank you.
I don't even have that. You got a warrant, yeah, you got a warrant.
Will they come out as a priority attack my dog?
In tonight's package.
Oh, no, it already happened. We already took it. He's fine, but it's been like, he was not.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't want to pick out the conservation people. Come on.
Then it's Article 23, use of town land for the purposes of wood recycling and composting, town dump.
That's the town, that's to memorialize what's, or we're bidding out what's going on down there now. That's what we're doing. Some kind of composting operation in the back.
Now, is that anyone can bring down their composting or what?
No, essentially what we have right now is we have a private firm that takes care of all of the brush and debris that residents bring in. They bring it out back. They have a commercial compost operation. They do bring back compost out front for residents to use. So you can get compost there for nothing. They usually have a big pile of it there on Saturdays.
And soon on Sunday.
Soon on Sunday, beginning in April.
Is that something we have to vote on as far, once the contract is approved, or you sign a contract, or you're just voting on the?
Just voting on authorizing us to lease enter into a lease, and also one that extends beyond the, the minimum or the maximum amount of time. So we have to get authorization to have it exceed, I think it's 3 years.
It's an open bid, so whoever's the highest bidder gets it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a bid right now.
Are they gonna be allowed to bring in their own stuff?
Yeah.
Or is it just what we gather there at the dump?
It's consistent with what's going on right now. So they are allowed, we have a contract with them. They're allowed to bring in so many truckloads of their own stuff, which is, so they do bring in some stuff, but it's regulated in the agreements. And we've had it in place since the early 2000s with this particular firm. So it'll be similar to what's been going on there right along.
Okay, is that monitored by the Conservation Commission as far as to what they're bringing in?
No.
To monitor the hazardous waste or anything?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All
They are approved, they've got approval, site approval from DEP, but I suppose anybody could hide anything in a.
How does that work now? People who run that now, are they contracted with us or are they?
Yeah, we would agree.
Yeah, agreement.
So for Article 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, where we amend the fiscal year 21 various budgets, is there anything in those articles that are going to be significant?
Are we
or-
looking at amending anything?
Yeah, so nothing significant, but Don is looking at amending, I believe it was the water enterprise. I haven't gotten the final numbers. He's got some surplus in some of the salary lines that he needs to move to expenses. So we will have a little bit of movement in those budgets. Because of the way we vote it, we have to take that kind of a thing to town meeting. In terms of the general fund, I'm not anticipating anything for amend Article 1 for the omnibus budget.
The only thing that could come up is, well, I won't even say, the fire chief's been working on his overtime issues, and worst case, we may be able to do some interdepartmental transfers.
For me.
Right.
So when should we schedule those articles for a finance committee meeting?
We can take those up on the 12th. Don and I have an appointment to meet on either the 5th or the 7th, finalize that.
I was also gonna ask, do we still want Mr. Fitzpatrick to come in with the school committee on the 12th?
Who?
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, we just voted. Did we vote?
We voted at PBT. Yeah, we voted him.
I know last week that we wanted to have him come in.
No,
You don't need it.
as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if anybody else on the committee wants to speak. Oh,
And then we will have Dawn come in for warrant articles on the 12th. The school committee will be here on the 12th. And I have a petitioner for Article 17 for the Connor Lane street exception.
I'll go do that.
Mhm. So I was hoping to fit all that in on the 12th. And we still will have to have a capital improvements meeting before.
Well, we could do the capital improvement. When's the next selectmen's meeting?
First Monday in April.
First Monday in April.
Selectmen meeting first and third Mondays in April.
Well, we could do it on the first Monday in April.
If I might just jump in on that, I would suggest probably going to the 3rd, only because part of capital is going to be dependent on the COA HVAC,
Okay.
and you want to, give us until mid-April to be able to collect that.
I think it would have to be the Monday in April, take the secret.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So-
Right. Unless they're willing to meet another night between that. There's only a couple of items to talk about, so we don't anticipate the meeting being very long.
So
You know.
the reason I wanted to do it on the same night as selectmen, you could do it at 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever.
Mhm.
And then, because Kathy's on
Kelly.
Kelly's on the
Mhm.
Board of Selectmen, she's also on the capital committee. That way,
Mhm.
doesn't room 2 nights for her.
Oh, she loves joining us. She's like,
It's a little vacation from our kids.
Dennis, for Article 25, that's the granting or renewing of certain licenses and permits. What's the executive summary on that? What are they trying to do?
Yeah.
This is it the bylaw, John, for 71-4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to, it is for us to amend our bylaws. Right now, the Mass General Law has a statute that says that the treasurer collector can withhold issuing licenses and permits for unpaid taxes, but that the treasurer collector needs to submit a delinquent list, a list of people who are delinquent taxpayers once a year. And what we are doing is removing that frequency so that the treasurer collector has the capability of doing it on an ongoing basis. So it's a slight modification to the bylaw to allow the treasurer collector to not have to wait for 1 year for that delinquency to occur.
How does that work for their permit? If they have a permit and then they fall in arrears?
If the permit has been issued, it's been issued. This is at the time that a permit is being applied for, we go through an approval process. And part of that approval process is for the treasurer collector to sign off that the applicant does not currently have any outstanding amounts due.
Did the Board of Selectmen already have a public hearing on Article 25?
They did not have a public hearing, but they did sign on the warrant and are recommending the article, but no, they did not have a specific public hearing on a particular matter.
No, it's not on that one, yeah.
So
This
then,
would constitute that public hearing, if you would. Because, yeah,
so
schedule it.
put it on our agenda as a public hearing, because I think it's specific that we have to, we can't say there wasn't one.
Right.
Okay. The same for is Article 26 connected to Article 25?
So I don't know that I have the same numbers, but is Article 26 adopting Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 70?
Yep.
Municipal program. Okay, so what that is, it is not related. It is something separate. We have the opportunity in the school department to enter into a program for revenue maximization. And so what this is asking is for us to adopt a piece of the law that says we can contract with a vendor who will perform services and apply to the federal government for additional funding, in this particular case, Medicaid. So they can, the outside vendor will apply to Medicaid to try to capture more funding to come back to the town. That vendor, in doing that work, obviously there's a cost associated with it. And so in order for that vendor to be paid, the agreement states that the vendor will withhold their fee from the amount that they have recovered for the town. And we need to adopt this law in order for that process to occur. Otherwise, they would not be able to withhold their fee and it would have to go through the warrant. And that's not how the vendor operates this program. So it allows for the vendor to withhold a fee directly from the amounts being recovered and reimbursed to the town.
Are there caps on the percentages of fees they can take off the principal?
No, well, I mean,
In other words, let's say we're eligible for $100,000. The guy goes through all the efforts and says, okay, I need that, my expenses are 90,000, so you get that.
Yeah, we sign a contract. This is a state, so the state has contracted with a company. The company is called PCG, Public Consulting Group. They offer a lot of these types of programs. And so those recovery rates that their fee structure, if you will, is stated in the contract that we would sign. We need to adopt this Mass General Law in order for us to be able to sign those contracts, but there are limits that are listed in the agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Massachusetts in the forefront, or are we following other communities that have already adopted this?
So this law has actually been on the books for a long time. We just haven't adopted it locally. And this is us adopting it locally because we now, Bellingham, are getting on the bandwagon of trying to find those opportunities to maximize our revenue.
But are other towns in the area already doing this?
Yeah. So yes, they are. There are other programs in place with ambulance revenue and other school programs. Yes, PCG, a big part of what they do is offer these revenue maximization programs. So they've got a lot of them out there. And yes, a lot of communities are taking part in them.
So do you know if there was a public hearing on this?
There was not.
Okay. So Tina?
So would this allow us just for the Medicaid one, or the Medicare one, or for all of
Yes.
them?
Really good question, Joyce, because I've been working with Joe Fair and I was hoping that we could adopt language that was broad enough that we could encompass others. It has to be specific. So when you see the final language, it will be for this particular program that we're authorizing this vendor to be paid from the revenue that they generate.
Does that come with an end date? Because I assume you're saying it's a contract and we're not guaranteeing this company our business for forever and ever.
I have to look at the contract. Obviously, it's a program that we have the ability of signing up for or dropping out of at any point in time. It's basically like an annual subscription, if you will.
I guess I'm just curious how the wording works with that if it's not.
And so I'm still on the version where it says KP Law is still reviewing the
Okay.
language for this.
Sorry.
So we're getting there
Okay, thank you.
with the actual motion.
So the DPW director has Article 9, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So is he coming in for all of those to present?
Yes, if April 12th works to do the warrant that
April
night with
12th?
the schools, then I will. It's gonna be-
So-
We're also gonna need a letter from him on Article 17. And also from the planning board.
On Connor Lane, the
Connor Lane.
recommendations from the. planning
Yeah,
board.
they haven't met yet, but they will be doing it on April 8th.
You found it.
That's what this guy can make with the next closet.
Yeah, also Roger Street.
Yep.
And John, I will let you, John, I'm sorry. I will let you know that one of these articles does have a financial impact. It is the easement for South Main Street. John and I are working through coming up with the amount and the funding source.
Article 19,
In my version that I have is 19. It's South Main Street project land and easement acquisition.
so there's a cost to the town that's unknown right
Correct.
now.
Did these articles get sent out via email?
I'm sorry?
The
Yeah,
article,
Adam doesn't have a copy. Did you
yep,
issue the book to everybody?
Yep, they're in the email that I sent on Friday. I had 6 or 7 attachments in that email.
you sent it or Mary?
I sent it.
Yes, you did. I'm not
Was
looking.
the I Tina or Mary?
Oh, it's Tina sent it. I'm sorry, Adam. Tina sent it.
Yeah, so I see the agenda, 2 copies of minutes, and then the two fire capital items. And I'll just get a copy from you, Tina, after the meeting. That's fine.
Okay.
And I do have one unpaid bill. I will email that out to you guys this week so that you have it. And that's an article on here as well.
Is that the like $17?
$17. Yeah, did you already get it?
I saw the email and I didn't print it.
Okay.
Is it in this package, Tina?
I'm sorry, I'm emailing out. What was that?
No, I have it. It's user error.
Okay.
It's I had never used the online Outlook before, so the bottom 3 were hidden. I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, what was that one?
The unpaid invoice, do we have that?
Unpaid invoice on the agenda?
Did you print it?
Yeah. I just
So I have it?
Oh, you do have it. Oh.
Wait, what invoice? Did you-
Unpaid bill, the
Oh,
unpaid bills.
I didn't get, yes, no, I'm sorry.
No, so I will email that out to you guys.
Yeah, I don't have that.
For $17.
Okay, so our next meeting is when?
April 12th.
April 12th?
I just have
5:30?
to- 5:30, I just have to work on coordinating, and we already have school department confirmed. I just have to coordinate with Don and the petition for Article 17.
And school is April 12th?
Yeah.
Jim, you're scheduled for charter review that night at 7.
Yeah, right after the, oh, is that gonna go long? Is this
Well,
gonna
I
go
don't know,
long?
I'm just thinking about your agenda.
You got
Do you
two
guys
people
think
from
you'll
charter
be on
review.
7?
Maybe we can bump our review to 7:30.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have a problem.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay.
It sounds like this is gonna be a solid couple hours.
Jill
So
and I
Fly
agree.
right through.
we still on for April 12 at 5:30? Okay. Yep.
Or you can move these on.
The 2 second minutes from the last two meetings we haven't done yet either. We tabled the one from February 22nd.
Yeah. In the packet.
Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes?
Yeah.
From February 22?
Yes.
Anybody have any changes or edits? Motion to accept the minutes of February 22. Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The minutes are accepted. Does everybody have the minutes from Monday, March 8th? Anybody have any edits, comments, changes? Motion to accept the minutes of March 8th.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Any other items from anybody?
I have my clerk invoice for the month of March.
Motion to approve the clerk invoice for the month of March,
Ooh,
$318.32.
So moved.
Second,
second.
Second.
all those in favor of approving, aye.
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 Invoice is approved. Need more than one signature or just one? Any other items?
That is everything on the agenda.
We're meeting next April 12 at 5:30. Motion to adjourn?
Do we have any other meetings scheduled?
That's it, I think.
April 12th.
April 12th.
That's it. Okay.
He's doing the book setup this one.
I'll be out of town to the 26th through the 5th. After that. April 26th through May 5th. Well, no, I'll be back on May 5th.
Okay, anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 7:10 PM.